Welcome to your Vibe Tribe. I'm your host, Eliana. Tune in every Friday to listen to conversations about mental health, relationships, dating, pop culture, and listen in on powerful interviews with powerful women from all walks of life. Hey guys, it's your host, Eliana. Welcome back to your Vibe Tribe. I am a little sick, so I'm going to try my best not to cough on the mic, but I am so glad to be here. And I want to welcome a special guest, Samantha Crawford. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm Samantha. I am living in Michigan where I was born and raised. I'm 32 and I love the vibe, no pun intended, of her podcast. And just trying to get other women to know like what their worth are. And I feel like your podcast really expresses that. And I think that's a vision of your podcast. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, thank you. And it's so weird because we connected on Miss Lifestyler, right?
Yes, yep. We talked like months ago about doing this, and it was from Miss Lifestyle, which is a really good group if you ever need just advice about from what shoes to wear with an outfit to a boyfriend trouble. So if you're not in that group, it's an awesome group to be a part of.
I know my friend Vanessa, who was on the podcast with me in the beginning, she was the one that told me, she's like, oh my gosh, like there's this group, Miss Lifestyle, I'm gonna like invite you. This was like years ago too. I think it was like 2 years ago. And she's like, oh, you should be a part of it. And then when I started my podcast, I was like, ooh, I don't even know if I should be posting on there. I kind of thought I was gonna like break the rules or something. Cause I mean, I guess it's an advertisement, but I kind of just wanted like to do this, obviously like, connect with other women. So I was like, I'm going to post on it. Like, let's see who responds to it, if anybody. And like, you wrote to me and I was like, yay. And we just connected on Instagram and then we just like FaceTimed. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, awesome. So you're in Chicago, right?
Um, I used to live there for 5 years. I'm back in Grand Rapids,
Okay.
Michigan. So I kind of did like a sandwich. I
Michigan.
like
Okay.
grew up in Michigan, moved to Chicago, moved back to Michigan, moved back to Chicago, and now I'm back in Michigan and like forming my roots here again.
Oh my gosh. And how's the weather been in Michigan so far? It's like, is it
I
getting a
mean, it
little warmer? Or
sucks.
is it still freezing?
It's getting warmer.
I
It's
like
like a
it's pretty
roller
bad.
coaster. Like Saturday was like 60 degrees, so like I was out bar hopping, and then it snowed on Monday morning. So like you just never know what to expect.
Oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm such an asshole. I was like literally complaining about 50-degree weather in San Diego. And I was like, I want it to be warm again. I was like, I'm over this. And I'm like, I can't imagine like that you're actually in like cold weather.
Yeah,
Gosh.
the summer is amazing though, so
Oh, wow.
sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah, that's true. I have heard the summers there are really nice. So yeah.
I mean, I would love to be in California where it's 70 and sunny, 300 days out of the year, but hopefully when my boyfriend's kids are out of high school, we can move somewhere warm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So what do you do? Like, do you work full time?
I do. I work at a bank full time as a mortgage assistant. So I help a loan officer with purchases and refinances and like realtor connections and things like that. And it's a really interesting market. Everything's changing. So I definitely have to be on my feet about my job. And it's a great job to have people be able to like who are first time home buyers. It's exciting for them. So that's my full time job. But I also do health coaching as well, which I'm trying to pursue that to be my full time job.
Oh, that's
That's my
awesome.
vision for right now.
Okay.
And yeah, that kind of takes up a lot of my time right now.
So health coaching, is it like, are you like a trainer or are you like more into wellness?
Yes, and it's all virtual. So um, basically, I do at home workouts, and I love going to the gym. But for me, I feel like it's at least for my lifestyle. I like to wake up, go downstairs, drink my pre-workout, hit play, and be done in 30, 40 minutes. Not have to like drive to the gym, park my car, pack my bag.
Hmm.
Oh, I forgot my AirPods. Oh, they're dead. So I just kind of like figured that that just works best for my lifestyle. And that's what I've been doing for 6 years. And
Yeah.
I just want other girls to realize that their journeys can be easy and doesn't, it's all baby steps. So just working on that business as well.
That's awesome. So did you start health coaching 6 years ago?
I started my health journey when it was in Chicago the first time, um, back in like
Hmm.
2016. I was focusing on myself. I was like, selfish and was like, I need to put my health first and myself first. And I feel like that's important in today's world is putting yourself first. And then I realized that you can form a
Yeah,
business from
definitely.
it. And so just in November, I was like, I'm just going to see what happens, see how this works. And I'm just going to had the CEO mindset and the entrepreneur mindset. So that's just kind of what I'm starting to build right now.
Yeah, so it's like your passion project.
Definitely. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, because it's like I was talking, I don't know if you heard last episode with Isabel, but like I feel like I need that. Like I need to have like this little project that I have, like that passion project. Cause like I know some people, their job is their passion. Like my boyfriend, that's like for him, his job is not really a job. It's like he gets paid to do his passion, which is amazing. But for some of us that like, maybe like we're not there yet, or maybe our passion project isn't like, getting can't pay the bills or whatever it is. I feel like especially as women, it's like
Mhm.
part of our nature to like be passionate and to be creative and like so like we need that in our lives. You know what I mean? Like to like, I don't know, to keep us going.
Yes, because you wear all these hats as an adult, and you could be a mom, a girlfriend, a wife, you're in the PTA or whatever, and you just kind of forget about yourself. Like yourself is the most important piece of you, and like what you like and what you enjoy. And I think it's awesome that your boyfriend has a job that he probably feels like he's not really working. He's just living life at his job and getting
Yeah.
paid for it. So a lot of people
Yeah.
forget that they can
Jealous.
have that privilege. So yeah, a hundred
Hmm.
percent.
So what made you want to get into like the whole health, like specifically health?
Well, I was in Chicago, and if you've ever lived in a big city where you don't have a car, you have to walk everywhere. So, and that was like the main point of why I moved there, to not have to drive. So, you want groceries, you walk and get them. You have to go to the bank, you walk. If you want to go to the bus stop, you have to walk. So, I was already
Nice.
kind of like living a healthy, an active lifestyle, if you will, but I wasn't at my healthiest. I
Hmm.
was not eating healthy. I was partying a lot. I wasn't in like a healthy mindset. And I was like, if I'm gonna live in this like everywhere, people are always biking and walking and running, and it's a very active city, and it's on Lake Michigan, so it's beautiful.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, everyone here is just like so active, and I don't have that energy. Like, how do I get that energy? And I was like, maybe I should start working out. And then I was like, I did some research, and I was like, okay, I used to think eating a whole bag of carrots in one sitting was healthy, but you can overeat on healthy food. So I started portioning out my food. Um,
Hmm.
not snacking at night, those kind of things. So that's when I was like, you know what? This is something that's a lifestyle. It's not just like a 60-day challenge or whatever. Like it's a lifestyle. So that's kind of what brought me into health and fitness.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too that kind of ties into it is once you start focusing on like the healthy aspect of it, like on the outside, everything kind of on the inside of you just kind of
Mm.
starts functioning differently. Like your spirit, your mind, your emotions, all those things kind of come into play when you're actually putting the right things in your body and treating it with a good intention.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, that's really powerful too because I feel like there are some people like it's also why you're working out. Like I feel like when I started my fitness journey and like or my health. Okay, see, I just like thought of that. I started my fitness journey, but I didn't necessarily start my health journey. Like I don't think those things are always synonymous. So like when I first started working out, I was like just working out one because I was just stressed and I think and I it just I was like I'm going to do this for
mhm.
2 hours and like I was getting my aggression out. So at some aspect it was health, but I feel like I was more interested in working out for like aesthetic reasons and like I wanted to look this specific
Mhm.
way and I was like I need to make my body look this specific way even though like my body will never look like that. I was just like this is what I need to look like and that's why I started working out, but I didn't necessarily care about like the health part of it, of like my mental health, or like, hey, I'm like actually trying to like improve my immune system and like my actual like well-being. It was just more like for aesthetic. And I feel like if
Yeah.
you do it for the wrong reasons, you don't really ever, one, you may not ever actually get there, or it's like not sustainable.
Well, and like I love that you kind of had that way at first, and then you realize like that's not all of it. It's just a piece of the many puzzles to living a healthy lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
you know, having a healthy job, having boundaries, there's all kinds of things that come into play, and like your health and fitness are a huge puzzle piece, but I also feel like, yes, there's a pair of shorts I want to fit into from 2 years ago that I might not fit into, but what are the steps that I need to take to get into those shorts? It's an all around like just it's kind of like a domino effect in a way. So I agree with you 100% because that was my
Yeah.
mentality or my mental state for a while too. And it's hard not to think that way because
Yeah.
in this generation and social media and all these things, it's hard not to have that part of your brain think those things. So I feel you.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just see all these images, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to look that way, so I have to do everything I can. Yeah, and it's not like, it's not sustainable. But so you're 6 years into your health coaching, and where do you want it to go?
I know that it takes a lot of work, and right now I'm just kind of in that like grinding stage and season of life right now. Do I want that to be my full-time job?
Yeah.
100%. And so I'm just kind of like I have blinders on. I'm just focusing on all these things that I'm trying to accomplish, and um, but yeah, ultimately I would love that
That's
to be my
awesome.
full-time job. To be able to have time freedom is a huge thing with that. Being able to work from
Yeah.
anywhere. If I wanted to go to my parents' house, if I wanted to go to the cottage, if I wanted to go to Florida, anywhere you can. Having a remote job now in 2022 is pretty common.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exciting. I
Yeah,
was gonna ask you. So, I mean,
scary.
obviously, I don't know. So, I know you had mentioned, like you started your health journey when you were like going through stuff and you wanted to like work on yourself. I know you mentioned that you weren't in the best relationship. Did those things kind of like happen? Like, did you start your health coaching during that time, or was that like after you experienced that?
Um, I had lost a ton of weight first, and then I gained my confidence back, and then I was in a really amazing headspace. I
Wow.
didn't drink for 4 months. I was that like focused on my health journey. I didn't have a sip of alcohol. Um, and
Oh,
then I
wow.
met this guy on the lovely app Tinder, and I kind of saw all the red flags, but I wasn't like really like I wasn't, I just kind of like wasn't looking at them. Like they were there in front of me, but for some reason, for as healthy as my mindset was, I think I was a little bit off for a second because I
Hmm.
wasn't realizing those red flags. But the relationship that was toxic came after. The red flags with him, looking back at it, was he lived a different lifestyle than I did. We were both working in like the service industry, but he, on my days off,
Hmm.
I would like
Okay.
get up and like go to the beach. There is a beach in Chicago. Most people don't realize that. I would get up and go to the beach and I'd go on a long walk or I was always out doing something on my day off. And on his day off, he would just lay in bed all day and watch TV. And that's great to do sometimes, but not every single day that you have off. So we just didn't really
Yeah.
have like the same lifestyle. The other toxic things, I was in a wedding for one of my best friends as her maid of honor, and I planned a bachelorette party back in Michigan, and I was going there for the weekend. This was like the third week that we started seeing each other. Um, and he was really jealous about that. And he just was blowing my phone up, texting me, calling me. And I'm on a party bus with my best friend for her wedding and wanting to know wherever we were, every single bar we went to, every single stop we were at, who we were with, what we were doing, when I was going to be home. If I didn't answer his text, why didn't I answer? And I kind of was like, well, maybe he just had really bad experience with a bachelorette party in a past relationship. But it was really deeper than that. Like that was just
And this was
the
how
tip of the
far in the
iceberg.
relationship?
3 weeks. 3 weeks. So I don't know what
Oh my gosh.
where my mind
Okay.
was at in that moment, but
Ooh.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of one of those relationships where like you break up for a couple weeks and you get back together, and then you break up and then you get back together. And for me, like I don't know why I even dealt with that, but when we were together, he we had the same like sarcastic personality. We thought we had a lot of things in common too. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something that just kept like drawing me in. And then when you get to be in that toxicness, once you're hooked, you cannot leave. You physically feel like you can, and like if you're not in this situation, it's hard to explain. And I really hope that talking about this, maybe one person listening would can kind of relate to me. And if you do relate to me, I feel you, girl. I feel you because once you're in that toxicness, you feel like this sounds so weird, but I remember a couple of times where like in like the show Hey Arnold, did you ever watch Hey Arnold when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Or like any like
Yeah.
cartoon, any cartoon would probably do this when like if someone's dreaming, basically any okay, long story short, I felt like I was like in my situation, like in an argument with him, and my floating Sam was like up here in the corner of the room watching me, screaming at me, Sam, get out, leave, what are you doing, why are you here, like he's not good for you. Floating Sam was like up here looking at me, and I just was like not even looking at her, like not even like listening to her talk to me about it, to tell me to get out. That's how deep the toxicness and that's how deep the abuse got. And then the abuse just started to escalate in a domino effect from there. So,
Oh my gosh. So, well, I wanted to say two things. Flags. And you said one of the red flags. What were the two red flags that you said? One was that he was like calling you all the time and like asking you where you were, right? And there was one more. Oh, and his lifestyle
his
choices.
lifestyle. Yep. That was just two of the many. But those were like the very first ones that I just picked up and kind of threw to the side.
Well, I think it's like interesting because like most women, like at least for me, when I first would get into a relationship, I feel like when a guy is like that into me, it's almost like, oh my God, he likes me so much. Like he wants to like know where I am all the time. And like, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know how intense it was for you, but I know like
A hundred
for
percent.
me, it's like, oh, that's nice. So like for someone that is maybe like my current relationship is my first relationship, like serious relationship. So like
Oh, good for
for
you.
me, yeah, thanks. But like for me, I'm like most women that are maybe not used to a man like giving them that much attention, that's like yes, it's a red flag when you're like experienced and you're older and you know, but like if you're younger and you're like maybe not experienced in relationships, if a guy's giving you all of this attention, like wants to know where you are, I feel like for some girls that's like a green light instead of a red flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think also, and maybe someone else can relate to this, but I think also what drew me in on that same aspect was he was always like curious about who I was with, curious about what friends I was with. And I was like, oh, maybe he wants to like get to know my friends. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's really, that's a value for me that my boyfriend likes my friends. So I didn't like think of it as a bad thing. I thought of it as like a good thing,
Hmm.
which it wasn't. It was a scary thing. So,
Yeah.
but
So, how long were you guys together? Like, and then, like, how long did it take for it to, like, get to the point where you're like, wow, okay, I'm seeing signs that I'm, like, in something, like, that's not healthy?
um, I would say it went on for about 9 months. Um, the first the first sign where I knew it was unhealthy was um, we were at his apartment and we were cooking dinner one night, and I love cooking. It's one of my hobbies. Like I would open up a restaurant if I could. Um, we were cooking dinner and his roommate was home, and we were making pasta, and this is like when I was like still eating really healthy and all the things he wanted to make. He knew I was not eating a lot of things that, were not on my plan of what I wanted to eat, like pastas and things like that. So I was like, well, I'll just air fry some veggies and some shrimp, like easy peasy. And he flipped a lid and threw a bowl at my face. I was like standing up against a wall on the other side of the island. He threw a ball toward
What?
me at my face. It hit the wall and fell and like
A
broke a
bowl,
photo on
like
the
a
wall.
bowl.
A bowl that you like eat like cereal out of. and like and I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? Did that really just happen?" And I was like, first of all, I was like, my thing is like when I in those situations, because that was like not like one of the first thing like physical things he did, but I always would like I wouldn't even like respond to it. I would just because I was so scared. I would just go to get my shoes on, pack my bag.
Oh my
Um,
God.
he had an elevator. He's on the 13th floor. That should have been the other red flag. 13, if you're superstitious. Um, and I
Oh yeah, true.
I clicked the button to go down, and I'm waiting, and he's running out the door, and I was like, you know what? It's either take the elevator and hope that it opens and closes before he gets there, or it's me running down a whole set of stairs. So it was like a fight or flight moment. I chose the stairwell. I ran downstairs, and it was like old stairs. It wasn't like brand new building, and they went in a
Oh my
spiral
God.
down 13 stairs, my heart racing, not sure what's going to happen. I hear the door open. Sam, 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 get the F back here. And he's chasing me down a stairwell for 13 floors. And his building was backed up against like an alley, and I knew where the back door was. And instead of me going out the front door, I went out the back door. And I know he thought I went out the front door because I ran to the side of the alley and I hid behind a dumpster so that he didn't know where I was. And I sat there and I waited for about 5 minutes, saw him have a cigarette, and then go back inside. And then that's when I got an Uber
What?
home.
Oh my God, I feel like I would be terrified.
I felt like I was maybe going to either fall down the stairs and hurt myself and be stuck there. I thought he was going to catch me. I thought he was either going to push me down the stairs to like trap me, or I thought he was going to end up at I thought maybe he would like go back up the stairs, take the elevator, and meet me at the bottom. So I didn't know what to expect. So and then what was going through my head, I was like, first of all, like what were you even mad about? Like I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't going to eat the food that you were cooking, and
Yeah.
you already knew that. Two, where was the miscommunication about that? And three, there's some anger issues here that are really deep, like really, really deep than just mad about me not eating the food that you're cooking. So I think when somebody is going through an anger thing like that, something's going on in their head that they are dealing with from their past that they never probably physically got over or dealt with or, had it come to surface. And so I knew it wasn't just about that moment in the kitchen. I knew it was like a lot deeper than that. And the really messed up thing is that's not the last time I saw him. This was like only like 4 months into the relationship that this happened. So that is like where the hook comes into play. You catch the fish and you hook and you reel him in. I was slowly getting reeled in after that
Yeah.
moment. So I think
So
it's
let's just pause for a second. So after that like initial fight that you had where he like threw the bowl at you, what was like going through your mind? Because until then he had never like exhibited any signs of like aggression towards you, right? That was the first time.
that was the first time. Yeah. The first physical. There's been things where he's like talking, he would talk to me and he's upset about something and we're all adults when we're upset, we probably say things that we don't mean just out of us and our head and how we feel, right? So, yes, that was the first physical altercation that had happened. But it didn't
And
stop there.
what was his excuse? Yeah, so what was
His
his
excuse
excuse after
was,
that one time? Like, what did he say to you?
um, we didn't talk for a couple of days. I worked at the restaurant that weekend, or I know we didn't like talk and I didn't see him like right away. Um, but we ended up like going to a restaurant for like coffee and like chatting in person because I was like, I don't feel safe being alone with you in your apartment or having you at my apartment. If you
Right.
really want to talk and explain yourself and talk about your actions, I'll meet you for coffee. And so, and I said, I'm not doing it at a bar where alcohol is involved. I'm doing it at like a public place. And so we met for coffee, and you could tell he had like probably really thought about what he did, or maybe he's a really good actor. I don't know. Um, Basically, it's just like, basically, all he said was, I was mad because I worked all day and I got home and I went grocery shopping to cook us food for dinner, and you didn't want to eat what I cooked. And I remember looking at him and I like about spit out my iced coffee and I said, you're acting like you're a 5-year-old right now, that you didn't get what you wanted to eat at the restaurant and so you threw a temper tantrum. And I just was like, you understood that I wasn't going to eat that. It was pasta. It was probably the dollar pasta from Walgreens. Like, it wasn't like this pasta from Italy that I would never say no to, right? It was just probably your average store-bought pasta. Nonetheless, you knew that I was coming over and I wasn't going to be eating that food. I brought my own food to cook over there, and I thought we were going to cook together and have a good night. And I said, honestly,
Yeah.
you chasing me down the stairs is a whole nother story. Like, why didn't you take the elevator? What was your purpose for that? And he said he thought the elevator would be too slow. Yes, it was an older building, but it's not much slower than my short 5'2" self walking down the stairs. So he didn't really have a reason. He didn't
Yeah.
have like a good legit reason of why he did what he did.
Why did you, I guess, in that moment, like, want to give him another chance?
I honestly don't know. I know that people make mistakes, and I think I was just settling maybe in the moment. Like, um, we had, we understood each other's job. I think what really helped was like, he was a server, bartender. I was a bartender, server. I did bottle service in Chicago. And I think I liked about him in a way was that if I didn't see him on a weekend, it wasn't a big deal because we both were working. If you ever been a waitress, when you get like what they say cut, where you no longer take tables, you don't ever know when you're gonna get out of work. And so he understood that, and multiple guys I dated in the past never understood that concept. They'd always say, "What time do you get out?" And I'm like, I don't know. It could be nine
Yeah.
o'clock. It could be midnight. I have no idea. And so the fact that he understood that it was reassuring. And I think like the other thing is that, like I
Yeah,
said
you didn't
before,
have to
is
explain yourself all the time.
yeah. But I think the other thing too is like once you're in that toxic, abusive relationship, you're hooked. It is hard to get out. And it's really hard to say that because once you're not actually in that situation, it's hard to relate to that
Yeah.
sentence. Like most people on the outside are like, well, why didn't you just break up with him? He threw a bowl at you. Why didn't you just leave? Of course, now looking back, I'm like, Sam, why did
Yeah.
you not leave? But once you're in that
Yeah.
situation, it's really difficult to remove yourself.
I think it's hard and I don't want well, I'm just curious too because it's like prior to that relationship, have you been in a relation had you been in a relationship that was like loving and like you felt appreciated and like you were not settling? Like had you experienced like how good it could be?
With somebody else, you mean?
Mhm. Yeah, with
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, my high school boyfriend, we dated for 5 years and we're actually back together. We've been dating now for 2 years. And in high school, he was amazing and he's still amazing, but he was loving to me. Um, and then I dated one other person for a while and he was affectionate and caring and things like that. So I know that those relationships existed, but this particular one, the toxic boy, I call him Psycho Pants. And that's what my friends and I all would call him, is we would call him Psycho Pants. Um, he had loving moments, but the toxic, scary
Yeah.
moments were the ones that really are recalling in my memory.
Right. Of course. That's what you're going to remember. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring you on the podcast because I mean, I think even myself, I've had my own judgments of like women who are in those situations, but it's like it's the same thing. It's like almost in like that domestic violence. Like I've never like how could you experience like the person that you love and that you're like wanting to build something with just like I don't know. It's like it's just such a hard situation to be in. So it's like people can judge, but it's like you're until you're in that exact situation, you're never gonna understand like how it feels and like how difficult it could be to like walk away, you know? Because it's like you don't just see the bad, you also see the good. So I feel like maybe you're like, okay, like yeah, you had a bad moment, but like I know that you can be good. So it's like you choose to weigh into the good and not the bad.
Oh, yeah, you nailed it. You definitely nailed it. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, I think it's hard for a majority of the population to understand what it is like to be in that situation. You always know somebody that is in that situation, but until you on yourself is actually in that moment and in that relationship and under that
Yeah.
stress, it's really hard to walk away. But if you have a support system, if you have people that, unfortunately, I did lose a friendship over this relationship, and it breaks my heart because, um, you know, it's hard to talk about, but she's an amazing person,
Mm-hmm.
and she was always like, honestly, like I don't know what you're doing with him, like that was just the beginning of it, and then when all these things started happening, she finally was like, you keep going back to him. I can't watch you anymore do this to yourself, and it's affecting my life too, Sam. So unfortunately, that friendship ended, but
Oh
if you had
wow.
people that support you, and she was an amazing friend and very um, on my side and there
Yeah.
for me, but if you also had people that are like, and that was what is supportive, is that she had to step away and be like, what you're doing is not okay and it's not healthy, and you could end up hurt, dead, or killed, or
Yeah.
in the hospital. um, I think if you have a support system that really knows what situation you're in, um, I guess if you ever have,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is even like a good thing to say, but like share your location with these people. Like I when I was in that relationship, there was three people that had my location, and sometimes it was a good thing. Um,
Oh my gosh.
so I think if you have a support system and you
Oh
know
my
people that are going
gosh.
to be there for you, I think that is what helps you kind of also realize that you need to get out.
So what was like the final straw after I mean like how many incidents happened before you were like, yeah, like this is no longer serving me. Like I need to get out. Like it's now becoming like
Um,
something that's affecting my life.
I think what the icing on the cake for me was, for some reason, whenever I go to his house, and we never went to my house because he lived like more downtown in the city. I lived more by like Wrigley, which was like a 15-minute drive away. So he had like more things to do by his house. I think what really was like the eye-opening moment for me was anytime I went to his house, I put my shoes next to my purse. I had my key ready in a little hole or like a pocket in my purse. I had my phone in that pocket,
What?
and I had my phone charger like in that pocket. And like anything I would like take to his house with me, like a toothbrush, a change of clothes, I would never like leave it in the open. Like he like gave me a drawer, but I would never use it. I was always putting my stuff back in my bag. Yeah, all I had to do was grab my bag with my shoes. Sometimes I wouldn't even leave with my shoes on, they were in my hand. I think there was one time I was like, you know what? Why am I packing all my stuff up if I think I'm gonna have to leave out of an altercation? Um, and then there was another time
Oh my
too,
gosh, that's so
is what
horrible.
really, really escalated it. It was like 5 in the morning, and he pushed me off the bed like really hard, and there was like a radiator on like within like 5 feet of like where his bed was. Um, Pushed me off, and I was thrown into that radiator, and he was basically telling me that I was like cheating on him. I went through your phone, Sam. I know you're cheating on me. And I was like,
He just woke
think what
up
you
in the
want,
middle
Mike.
of the night.
Yes, and just threw me off the bed. And I like hurt my arm really bad. It was like bleeding and stuff. And my bag, I saw my bag in the corner, like ready to go packed up. But I was on the other side of the room. And where my bag was is where the door was. And he's like, you're not leaving. I'm locking the door, and you're going to stay in here, and we're going to talk about this. And you're not leaving until we talk about it. And in my head, I was like, oh, he's going to kill me. He is going to kill me. And then there was, I was trying to like get her on the bed to get to my stuff to leave.
What?
I was going to leave like in my pajamas. Like I didn't even care. And he locked the door. He put a bunch of stuff in front of the door so I couldn't get out. He told his roommate, okay. I asked his roommate, I was screaming his name, wake up. I was texting his roommate, and he was like, why are you texting my roommate? And I was like, because you're locking me in your bedroom at 5 in the morning. You threw me against a radiator. You won't give me my stuff.
I
You
feel like
have
I
my
don't feel
phone.
comfortable.
And at that point, I was like, okay, do I call the cops? Like, I don't even know what to do at this moment. That was the moment that I was like, all right, let me leave. Finally, at like 8 in the morning, he let me leave. And I went home. I was talking to my friends, and I was like, who wants to go to Vegas? Because I'm never talking to this guy ever again. I blocked him on all social media, Snapchat,
Who
Instagram,
wants to go to
Facebook,
Vegas?
text messaging, like you name
That's
it, the
amazing.
guy was blocked. All I said was, we're never talking ever again. I'm
Holy
blocking
shit.
you. This is over. You need to get some help. You really need some help, and I hope you get it someday, and I hope you are relieved from this anger you have built up inside of you and these demons that you have, but I can't be in this life with you. So I blocked him, and I went to Vegas like a week later, and it was the best time of my life.
Well, that's good. I just want to say, like, that, like, terrifies me. And, like, I think of, like, I don't know, I always have, like, nightmares of having a daughter. Like, I think I'm going to have a daughter because I just, like, it's like I want it so badly, but then I'm also, like, terrified of being a mom because I just feel like it's, like, I don't know, as, like, a woman, I don't know, I feel like we go through so many things in life, and I think it's also just like the relationship between like a man and a woman. I mean, obviously, or just any partner. I say man and woman because that's my only experience, but like, you know, any partner that you have, it's like whenever you're in those spaces, and like I don't know if that's what you were experiencing, but it's like we all have those moments where like we're insecure, or we're just like we don't think we deserve more, or we don't even know what we deserve, if that makes sense. And that's like
Oh,
such a
yeah.
scary place to be in because I feel like those little moments when you're like are doubting yourself, you're doubting what your worth is, at like it's like that's when those losers creep in and like they think that, you know, and it's like it's just the mental space that you were in, like that could have happened to anybody, and that's just like so scary because it's like I don't know, it just scares me. So it's like hearing these stories, like I hope someone listens to this and is like, holy crap, like if they're in this, like holy shit, like I deserve more than that. Like you deserve everything. You deserve the whole freaking world. Like, you know. So
Yeah, 100%. And even if it's not you physically listening on this and you're not in that situation, because I would never pray for, I would never want anybody to be in that situation. But if you know somebody that is,
yeah.
honestly, like you not giving up on them is, I think it could go either way. I think you could be the person who doesn't give up on them. And then also giving them an ultimatum, because I think what my friend who is no longer my friend because of this relationship, her giving me that ultimatum basically was like another wake up call. Like, I'm losing a really amazing friend for
Yeah.
this bozo who doesn't even know
It
how to treat a
hurts.
person. So I feel like if you know somebody that's in this situation, don't give up on them, but also maybe just tell them like, hey, I can't hang out with you, but just know I'm here. Text me if you need me. I'll do
When
what
this
I
is over.
can, but when this is over, like, yeah, we'll go get coffee and get pedicures, but right now I just can't do that with you.
Yeah.
So it really is. But there is light at the end of the tunnel because if you're listening to this and you are in that situation and you are wondering how to get out or what you can do, there are a ton of resources that you can go to that are no one knows about. They're anonymous, and also know that you probably have somebody that is wanting to be with you that you just don't know who they are yet. Or, my high school sweetheart messaged me on
Yeah, like don't
Facebook in the middle of
settle.
COVID. Yeah, don't settle because there's so many things out there that you just need to experience. And it's not
Hmm.
you in this mess, you're going to get out. It's just a season of life and it's a dark season. Yeah, just know that maybe your dark season right now is a dark season, but know that your next season of life, whenever that is, after this dark moment, is going to be magical because what you're going through now is going to be like, wow, if I can get through that, I can get through anything, So just don't give up hope, keep pushing,
Yeah.
keep focusing on yourself. And if you need any support, I'm here. Like, I don't even know you, I'll support you and help you.
Yay. Oh, yes. That's like exactly what this community is about. It's like I feel like I just want to like keep adding amazing women that are just gonna like people can reach out to be like, I'm going through this, can you help me? And it's like, yes, I can help you. Like I've been through this, like here you go. But it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's an amazing tip too. It's like no, like hey, it's gonna get better, and also it's like don't be afraid to be alone. Like I feel like I keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it again. Like I feel like as women we're afraid to be alone, and we'd rather be with someone that may not be serving us because it's like maybe like oh, okay, well this is what's like here now, so I'm just gonna take it and see where it goes. And it's like if it's not serving you, it's not what you want. Like don't feel like your goals are too idealistic or like what you want is too idealistic. Like just wait for it. If it's not presenting itself, just wait. Like it's not a crime to be alone. Like who cares if you're in your 30s and you still are alone? Who cares? Like do your thing, like work on yourself, work on your empire, work on your like money, like work on your getting your home, and like when your partner is supposed to come, they will come.
Yeah.
And just be alone until then. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think like reading books too is like kind of what helped me too. Like you hear of like self-help
Really.
books, but I feel like there's like a stigma on like a self-help title book, but I like to call them a personal development book.
I like
So
them
I feel
too.
like those
Yes.
those books and podcasts can really help you get out of a really bad, moment of life.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. And it's like, I think whenever someone's going through a tough time, everyone thinks they're by themselves. They think they're lonely. They think I'm the only one going through this. No one's going to understand. And no, there probably is someone out there that is going through the exact same thing that you're going through and that will understand. And it's like, it's not about judgment, but like, again, that's why I wanted to have you on because it's like, hopefully it'll destigmatize women that are in those situations. It's like it could happen to anyone. It could happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't, but it could.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. But if you feel like you see a red flag, talk about it to your girlfriend, talk about it to your mom. If they think it's a red flag, it's a red flag. And just
Yeah.
try to avoid the situation by just identifying those things that probably aren't great about that person.
And I wanted to ask you, so how has this changed like your current relationship, like going through that experience?
Um, I don't know if it really changed my relationship I have with my boyfriend right now. Um, we were high school sweethearts and we've been together for almost 2 years now. And I guess the only thing I would say is that Toxic with Psychopants taught me how to
Psychopaths.
communicate a little bit better probably and not run away from an altercation. because I would run away from when I would see
Mm-hmm.
the steam come out of his ears, I would book it. My boyfriend now doesn't really get mad about a lot of stuff. So um, I guess now when I see him, you know, upset about something, I say, take a deep breath, go on a walk, go around the block, come back, and then we'll talk about it and like figure out what you want to say, and then we'll talk about it. And so that's kind of our strategy
Yeah,
is,
that's good.
you know, go for a walk or go outside. You know, we have a big backyard. Go outside for 10 minutes, get some fresh air, and then let's sit down and just talk about it instead of like going off emotions and off adrenaline when you're in that
Reality.
moment and you're upset.
Mm-hmm.
Really figure out like the facts and not
Mm-hmm.
what you feel like you should say. So I guess it taught me how to handle
Mm-hmm.
altercations better.
That's good. And it's true. I'm naturally, I would get very heated. Like I don't know if it's because I'm Latina and I would like immediately any argument I'm like raise my voice. I'm like I can't let someone be bigger than me. So it like in this relationship with my boyfriend, like he's so analytical and he's so like contemplative. Like he's just very rational person, and he would always be like the first person to show emotion loses. Like you lose validity in anything that you're saying in your argument the minute that you bring emotion into it. And I'm just like like you're right, like
Yeah.
you're so freaking right. And it's like just take a 5 minutes pause and like what you want to say what you want to say, but like lose the like defensiveness and the emotion behind it, because it'll there's no point in that. It's not going to help anything.
Yeah. It's hard to learn that too. Like, you instantly, when you get into a fight, you want to prove your
It's so
point
hard.
and tell that person they're wrong. So, like,
Hmm.
it's a growing baby step situation. So, it's,
Well, that's awesome. Well, I mean, I guess just to like wrap it up, what would be like your biggest, I mean, what's your biggest advice, I guess, that you can give to someone in a toxic or unhealthy relationship?
I would say my best advice is put everything on paper. You know, write down if you really are trying to work on it with this person and they have anger problems and they're giving you these promises that they're going to change, you know, is your life really more important than somebody telling you that they're going to change? So I would put everything on paper, pros and cons of the person, um, and put that out on, put a picture in your phone, put it on your fridge, put it on your vanity, put it somewhere like that's a visual, tangible thing. And so when you're seeing him text you things or whatever, or you're dealing in that moment, you can kind of see the cons in your head, even though you might see them in person. Like having them laid
Hmm.
out, if you're a visual person, that might help. Um, and if that doesn't really reflect with you, talk to somebody. The more you talk about the situation you're in with
Yeah.
your close people that you support and that you trust, pick two people and just say, hey, this is
Yeah.
what's going on with me. I want to let you know just in case something happens. But I don't know. I don't really have any advice because I don't think that it's something that you should have to give advice about. I think you just have to know when it's your time that you need to have that aha moment. I'm running away and I'm getting out. And then you block the person and then you book a trip. That's, I mean, honestly, like having that support system is helpful. I
Or
knew the two
assess the
people. I was
red
like,
flags. Assess the red flags early.
well, yes, I set the red flags early, but I feel like once you're already in the situation, there's no advice to give anybody. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I think support, help. They have so many online websites to use that are anonymous. I didn't use those, and I wish I did, but I mean, there's a lot of things that can really help you get out of that relationship. And even if it's not physical and it's more of like a emotional, emotional and like verbal, um, don't put that to discredit because that is also abuse too. It doesn't have to be physical, leaving you
Just as
bruises.
bad. Yeah.
Emotion and verbal things are just as
It's
bad.
just as bad. Yeah.
So,
No, that's good. That's really powerful. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sam, where can they find you if you want to be found?
if if you want to find me, I do have
My listeners.
Instagram. And even if you wanted to reach out
Okay.
privately, if you're in this
Give us the.
situation and you want any help with anything and you want to keep it private, I'm here to help. I do have an Instagram and it's at Sam dot CRAWFORD XO. So Sam.CrawfordXO on Instagram. Um, and if you don't have Instagram, you feel weird about that, you can always email me. Could I say email? I don't know. Do people email anymore?
Yeah. Give your email.
Yeah, you can
I
email
mean,
me if you want to
maybe,
talk.
yes.
If you want
Keep
to
it
email me,
anonymous.
S Crawford, CRAWFORD 114 at yahoo.com. And if you need some support and you don't have anybody to
Amazing.
support you, I'm your girl.
We love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, guys, say bye to Sam. Bye.
Goodbye.
I actually wanted to give a quick message to my listeners. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast and supporting me. It truly means so much. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be opening up questions now that we have a decent amount of listeners coming in. I want to know if you guys have any questions or if you need help, if you're like in a tough situation and you just want to have my input and you want it to be completely anonymous, or if you just want to give a shout out or share your experience, whatever. If you want to write to your Vibe Tribe podcast, please email us at yourvibetribepodcast@gmail.com. It will be completely anonymous. Love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.